Today we'll be taking a look at Nubatama versus Great Nature with the new VPT 11 support. So it'll be a clash between Shiranui and the Isabelle. So we do see the Numa right into a creature searcher here, which is newly introduced to the set itself, or rather to the clan itself. And I would like to emphasize in all my standard videos, creature searchers are very much welcome to all the decks because it does add a form of consistency to the decks, especially when you're playing a very key Grade 3 Vanguard, such as Isabelle as well as a Shiranui. So we do see the GN actually right into his Grade 3 Searcher but misses the search. Swings into a draw trigger here, but eating a draw trigger for the damage trigger. Very strong players from both of them. And he do see him riding into the Genkai, sorry. And I don't personally like Genkai at all because it doesn't really do much. Maybe you guys could let me know what other uses does it have, but we still do see him calling the Tobatachi there, which is actually the grade 3 grade 1 promo, which actually does the effect of searching the Shiranui back to from the top 7 of the deck to your hand. And we do see him calling the Stealth Throw to counter charge later, as well as calling the Full Ride, which is unfortunately not on the Vanguard Circle because it does a lot more and bring a lot more to the table when it's on the Vanguard Circle. So we do see him actually going for the creature here, actually hitting the Mizukaze here, which is actually the prime idea of this deck list, because you do get a high number of victory count into your soul very easily with the new Shiranui package. Having Mizukaze as a finisher does bring a lot of pressure for the deck itself because it can perform 4 attacks with the newly introduced Domination token. But very strong play by the Great Nature player here to eat a double damage trigger here, and one of it being the heal trigger, so nullifying the aggression done by the Nubatama. So with the new Isabelle, it kind of allows you to snowball pretty hard upon riding the Grade 3 turn, but same thing, it still have this lacking Grade 2 turn in my opinion. Maybe you guys could change my mind once again if you guys comment how Great Nature has getting how basically how it does it get boosted with the new set, because the deck still to me is a kind of deck whereby you just hug your units till Grade 3 turn, quite similar to a Yasui deck, and then you explode from there. And sometimes I do feel this kind of playstyle is pretty slow. And you'll see him try checking into Isabelle there, the old Isabelle in fact, and passes the turn to the Shiranui player here. So very fortunate for the Shiranui player here is that we do see the drop zone, we do see the GM player having a drop zone, allowing him to actually go for the domination token later into the turn. So we do superior right into the Oboro here, effectively farming 2 markers in the turn. So this is what Bushiroad has sort of introduced to the game, allowing certain decks to actually farm markers on the same turn instead of the usual riding and basically having multiple grade 3s in your hand for the next turn. This is seen commonly in even Savas, which is introduced in this set, as well as Lot in the previous set. So sorry for the replay there, because I meant to actually discard the Oboro instead of the old Shiranui here, because the old Shiranui, does have an effect of upon attacking, it does go into the soul to draw 1, and especially it does get plus 10k. And it is also possible to actually bounce off an enemy unit back to the hand, and if they do, they must discard 1 card from their hand. And that card does backfire sometimes because you do give your opponent basically a on place effect once again, or you allow them to change their shoes. So that effect should be used with a sort of caution, I would say. But very strong player by the GN once again, getting the heal trigger and another critical trigger damage. So basically 4 damage trigger has been seen from him. And we do see him riding into the new Isabelle. So what the new Isabelle does is on place, you can actually look at top 3 of the deck, similar to Oracle Think Tank. And it does have an additional skill, which is actually to counter blast 1. You choose 1 unit on the field and you do the on place effect once again, and if opponent is on the Grade 3 Vanguard, you do get front row plus 10k, effectively a front trigger. And it does bring the old Isabelle effect to herself as well, which is the gacha both effect. So it's pretty strong in my opinion, but the nerf is obviously seen when it has to be done on when opponent is on grade 3. So you do see actually calling the old Isabelle here, which actually works flawlessly with the new Isabelle. So he does get the card to hand as well as plusing a very beefy 15k power. And we do see actually running the Zebra as well, because Zebra does benefit a lot playing with those gacha cards, getting stronger 5k each time with every gacha used. And we do see using the Isabelle skill on herself, which is a very interesting play in my opinion, because I do not know you can actually choose herself. So you can arrange the top 3 2 times in a turn. And I do know guard here, he gets a critical trigger here, very strong, pushing me to 4 here. And he does open the third heal trigger we see this game from him. Naturally talented to play Great Nature there, but the Nubatama is also quite talented to open 2 damage trigger there, pushing it to a 32k base Vanguard. But with the new Isabelle front trigger effect, all the units does have a comfortable time hitting over damage triggers. Even so on the 32k Vanguard. So a slight misplay here. So Binoculars Tiger will proc 2 times. Basically, with the Isabelle effect, it will proc the draw and the bomb, but he does forget to bomb one rearguard here. So I would like to apologize for the slight misplay here, as this is the first day of the set release and we are doing a draft testing. And these both rearguards are requiring a 15k guard at least, even though I do eat 2 damage trigger there. So very strong, I would say, burst of a turn from the Isabelle. And if he does survive the next turn, most likely any deck will have died in the following turn. So I do right into the Oboro here once again, getting 3 grade 3s in the soul. And the reason why I even arrange it like this is because I would need to sort of plan the resource carefully, because I'll be using the Mizukaze, which is the guard restrict. So I do drop the protect marker here to actually bind the Isabelle, getting myself a domination token that is Isabelle herself. And with Tobatachi on the back row, it does give my token plus 5k, which it does really help. As you can see, Mizukaze does require you to soul plus 1 grade 3 to grant the effect of having the guard restrict for the turn, whereby enemy is only allowed to place 1 grade each time for this turn. So basically you can use grade 0 to guard once per turn, and grade 1, grade 2, you get the idea. But intercepts are still available to use. So I do swing the Isabelle here with the 17k power with a twin drive, and a 20k will be a 2 pass already. He does throw a grade 1 here, intercepting with the 2 other grade 2 units, giving a 20k shield total. And with the Mizukaze guard restrict getting basically coming in, he's basically locked out of the grade 1 for this turn. But he's comfortably at a 2 damage count, so with the 3 heal trigger that he did achieve this turn, I would say he's not very threatened by the Mizukaze skill. But can you imagine if he was already at 3 or 4 damage? Mizukaze does bring a lot to the table, and I would definitely recommend players who are planning to play Shiranui to sort of consider playing Mizukaze. We do see a PG forced out here, locking out the grade 0, and I do get a critical trigger here, unfortunately not a double critical trigger, which would have very well ended the game. So we do see him going for the second Isabelle VR skill here, second Isabelle right here, once again getting another marker, especially, and doing the Oracle Think Tank top 3 search, top 3 check. And what this top 3 search does help for GN is basically you can rearrange how you're going to mill the card. And especially with the new card introduced for Isabelle, there's this card called Love Dotty, which he will be demonstrating in the following few seconds. This card will allow you to specifically call what you want it to be called through the top deck, which sometimes it might have been too gacha reliant in the old version of Isabelle, whereby you just have to hope and pray. But with the new Isabelle, it does give you this sort of like predicting the future kind of move, giving you the best optimal turn possible. So we do see him using a Love Dotty here, building a top card, and if it mills a normal unit, you can superior call it, and if it's a trigger unit, it does plus 15k. But with the Isabelle skill, we do see him chain calling the Love Love Dotty into a Binoculars Tiger deck. And I would like to point out that Binoculars Tiger is such an underrated card because this card basically does a guide restrict of no consents and only restricting your opponent to only use grade 0 shoes. And basically boosting a very high powered rearguard does give an opponent a headache in my opinion. So we shall see how this game goes with the Mono Tiger. So you do see him calling the Isabelle there, which is a 27k beater by herself, and on the Excel marker is a 32k. And we'll be seeing him doing the Isabelle skill once again, giving a free front trigger to the front row, and the Isabelle is already hitting for 42k without considering any triggers at all. How very big numbers, I would say. He does swing with the Isabelle here for 22k guard, and because I do know that he checked his top card, I do not want to risk guarding 2 to pass because most likely it will be a double trigger, which unfortunately I do get tricked into, and this puts me in a very unfavorable condition, I would say. He does swing the Love Love Dotty there, which is hitting for a 34k power. So at this point of time, I'm contemplating that I need to hard guard the next 3 attacks and then eat the final attack from the Mono Tiger because I don't have the necessary shields to guard it, and I'll be hoping and praying for a 6 damage shield. I would say because I'm playing a protect deck, I do have access to more protect markers, basically more sentinels, which does help me to guard against these ridiculously high power rear guards, but it does not allow me to play against the Mono Tiger. And I'll be hoping a 6 damage shield here. He does use the Mono skill, and this is game. Thank you for watching till the end, and I do hope you enjoy the content I've been putting out.